The forest smells like death and pine needles when I find him. Soren is lying in a patch of dying wildflowers, his body so thin I can see the outline of his ribs through his worn flannel shirt. His skin has the translucent quality of parchment paper, blue veins visible beneath like a road map of suffering. Those green eyes, on so vibrant they reminded me of spring leaves, are now dull and sunken, ringed with shadows so deep they look like bruises. "Evander," he whispers, and even my name sounds like it costs him everything to speak. "You shouldn't have come." But I'm already moving, my hands shaking as I gather him into my arms. He weighs nothing, less than nothing. How is it possible that a person can fade this much and still be breathing? "Shut up," I say, and my voice cracks on the words. "Just shut up, Soren." He tries to smile, and it breaks something in my chest. Still giving orders, I see. 7 years. It has been 7 years since I walked away from him, since I looked into these same green eyes and told him I didn't believe in fate, didn't believe in soulmates, didn't believe in anything that couldn't be measured in a laboratory. 7 years since I left him standing in this same forest with tears streaming down his face and a check for $100,000 clutched in his trembling hands. I was so fucking sure I was right. The drive to the hospital is a blur of panic and pheromones. My alpha instincts are screaming at me, flooding my system with so much adrenaline, I can barely see straight. Soren drifts in and out of consciousness in my arms, his head lolling against my shoulder. Every time his breathing stutters, I feel like someone's driving a knife between my ribs. "Stay with me," I keep saying, over and over like a prayer. "Soren, stay with me." His fingers curl weakly against my shirt. "Why?" he asks, so softly I almost don't hear him. "Why do you care now?" I don't have an answer. Or maybe I do, but it is 7 years too late. The doctor's name is Chen, and she looks at me like I'm something she scraped off the bottom of her shoe when I explain the situation. "You rejected the bond?" She doesn't bother to hide her disgust. 7 years ago, yes. And you're only here now because your company's pharmaceutical research flagged his pheromone decay? I force myself to meet her eyes. "Yes," she shakes her head, turning away from me to look through the window of Soren's hospital room. He is unconscious now, hooked up to more machines than I can count. The steady beep of his heart monitor is the only thing keeping me from completely losing my mind. Soul depletion syndrome is almost always fatal in cases like this, Dr. Chen says. When an Omega's fated alpha rejects the bond, their body begins to shut down, slowly at first, then faster as time goes on. Your Omega has been fighting this for 7 years. That is remarkable, actually. Most don't last more than 3 or 4. "He is not my Omega," I say automatically, and then hate myself for it. Dr. Chen's look could strip paint. "Then why are you here, Mr. Frost?" I don't answer. I can't. She sighs, pulling up Soren's charts on her tablet. His pheromone levels are at 6% of normal. His immune system is barely functioning. He is severely malnourished because his body can't properly absorb nutrients anymore. He has maybe 2 weeks left. A month if we're very lucky. What do I need to do? The words come out rough, desperate. Tell me what to do. "Complete the bond," she says simply. "Full marking, continuous pheromone exposure, and even then, there is no guarantee. The damage might be too extensive." "I'll do it." I don't hesitate. "Whatever he needs, I'll do it." Dr. Chen studies me for a long moment. "Will you?" "Because completing a bond isn't a one-time thing, Mr. Frost. It requires sustained emotional and physical intimacy. It requires you to actually be present, not just physically but emotionally. Can you do that? Can you give him what you refused to give him 7 years ago?" The question hits me like a physical blow. Can I? Can I really tear down all the walls I've spent my entire life building? Can I let someone in that deeply, that completely? I look at Soren through the window, at his still form in that hospital bed, and I know the answer. "I'll do whatever it takes," I say. They release him into my care 3 days later with a list of medications longer than my arm and instructions that basically amount to keep him alive until the bond can stabilize him. Soren doesn't speak during the drive back to the forest. He sits in the passenger seat of my car, staring out the window with that same hollow expression he has worn since I found him. It is like looking at a ghost of the person I remember. The cabin he has been living in is small and rustic, exactly the kind of place I would have dismissed as primitive 7 years ago. Now, as I carry him across the threshold, I see it through different eyes. There are books everywhere, field guides and poetry collections, and worn paperbacks with cracked spines, a collection of pressed flowers in frames on the walls, photographs of wildlife, clearly taken by Soren himself, based on the artistic composition. This is a home, a real home, built by someone who believes in beauty and meaning and all the things I've always dismissed as illogical. I lay him down on the bed. His scent is all over the sheets, pine and rain, and something uniquely Soren, and he immediately tries to sit up. "You don't have to do this," he says. "I release you from any obligation." "Soren, I mean it." His voice is stronger now, sharpened by anger or pride, or maybe just the last remnants of his dignity. "I didn't ask you to come. I didn't ask you to save me. I was ready to die, Evander. I made my peace with it." "Well, I haven't," I snap back, "so lie down and let me help you." "Why?" The question comes out as almost a shout, and the effort makes him cough. "Why now? Why not 7 years ago when I was standing in front of you begging you to just give us a chance? You looked at me like I was nothing, like the bond meant nothing, like I meant nothing." The words are like bullets, each one finding its mark. "I know. You told me it was just pheromones, just biology, that I was being irrational and emotional, and everything you couldn't stand." He is crying now, tears streaming down his too thin face. "Do you have any idea what that did to me? I thought I'd found my person, Evander, my fated mate, and you rejected me like I was some kind of mistake." "I know," I say again, and I hate how inadequate the words are. "Soren, I know, I was wrong. Were you?" He laughs bitterly. "Or are you just here because you feel guilty? Because your precious research data told you I was dying and you couldn't live with that on your conscience?" He is not entirely wrong, and we both know it. The truth is, if my company's AI hadn't flagged the pheromone decay signature that matched his biological profile in our database, I might never have known. I might have gone on with my life, convinced I'd made the right choice, while he slowly faded away in this forest. The thought makes me sick. At first, maybe, I admit, when I saw the data, I told myself I just needed to check on you, make sure you were okay. But then I saw you. I have to stop, have to swallow past the lump in my throat. "God, Soren, when I saw what I'd done to you—" "You didn't do this to me," he interrupts. "I did this to myself. I knew what rejecting the bond would do. The doctors told me, but I couldn't. I couldn't force you to be with me. I couldn't live knowing you only stayed because of biology. That is not why I want to stay now, isn't it?" He meets my eyes, and there is so much pain in his gaze I can barely stand to look at him. "You're here because I'm dying, because completing the bond is the only way to save me. That is still biology, Evander. That is still just pheromones and instinct." "No." I move closer, kneeling beside the bed so we're at eye level. "It is more than that. It has to be more than that because the thought of losing you is tearing me apart, and that is not something that can be explained by chemistry or biology or any of the scientific principles I've built my entire life around." He stares at me for a long moment, searching my face for something. "I don't believe you," he finally says, but his voice wavers. "Then let me prove it to you," I say. "Let me stay, let me take care of you, and if, when you're better, you still want me to leave, I will. I'll complete the bond to save your life, and then I'll walk away if that is what you want. But please, Soren, please let me try." The first week is hell. Soren's body is so depleted that even the initial stages of bonding make him violently ill. He can't keep food down. He runs fevers that spike to dangerous levels. He has nightmares that leave him screaming and thrashing, and I hold him through all of it, pumping out calming pheromones, until I'm dizzy with exhaustion. Dr. Chen comes by every other day to check on him, and each time, she looks more worried. His body is fighting the bond, she explains on day 5. It has been rejected for so long that accepting it now is almost like an allergic reaction. What do we do? I ask. Keep doing what you're doing. Scent marking, pheromone exposure, physical contact, and hope his body remembers what it is supposed to do. On day 8, Soren's fever breaks. I wake up to find him staring at me from across the bed, more lucid than I've seen him since I brought him here. You're still here, he says. Where else would I be? He doesn't answer, just keeps watching me with those two observant green eyes. Finally, he says, tell me about these 7 years, what you did, who you were. So I do. I tell him about building my company, about the ruthless deals and the 80-hour work weeks, about the emptiness of success when there is no one to share it with, about the parade of forgettable lovers I took to forgettable events, always careful never to let anyone get too close, about the nightmares I started having around year 3, where I saw his face and woke up gasping, my alpha instincts screaming that something was wrong, that my omega needed me, how I dismissed them as stress, how I threw myself even harder into work to avoid thinking about them. I told myself I'd made the right choice, I say, that I was better off alone, that the bond was just a biological trick evolution played to ensure reproduction. I had papers to back it up, studies, data, everything I needed to prove I was right. And now, Soren asks quietly, now I know that some things can't be quantified. That love, I stumble over the word, unused to saying it. That love isn't something you can measure in a laboratory or explain with a formula, and that I was a coward who was too afraid of losing control to admit that I needed you. He is quiet for a long time. Then I burned your check. I blink. What? The one you left me? $100,000. I burned it in my fireplace that night and watched it turn to ash. He smiles faintly. I thought about keeping it. God knows I needed the money, but every time I looked at it, all I could see was you walking away. I'm sorry, I say, and the words feel pathetically inadequate. Soren, I'm so fucking sorry. I know, he says, and then, so softly I almost miss it, I forgive you. The bonding takes weeks. Not the physical part, the marking, the claiming bite, the exchange of pheromones. That happens on day 12, in a moment of desperate intimacy, when Soren's fever spikes again, and the only thing that brings it down is my scent glands pressed directly against his skin. No, the real bonding is slower. It is learning how he takes his coffee, black, with honey, never sugar. It is reading to him from his collection of poetry books when he is too weak to hold them himself. It is sitting on the porch together, watching the sun set over the forest, while he tells me about the animals he has spent his life protecting. It is me learning to be vulnerable, learning to say, I'm scared, and I need you, and I love you, without feeling like I'm losing some essential part of myself. 1 month in, Soren starts to gain weight. His skin loses that translucent quality, color returning to his cheeks. He can walk from the bedroom to the kitchen without getting winded. Dr. Chen starts using words like remarkable recovery and miracle. 2 months in, I wake up to find him sitting on the floor of the cabin, surrounded by the contents of a storage box, photographs. Mostly, I recognize myself in several of them, distant shots taken with a telephoto lens. I kept tabs on you, Soren admits when he sees me looking. I told myself it was just to make sure you were okay, but really, I think I just couldn't let go. I sit down beside him, picking up one of the photos. It is me at some pharmaceutical conference, looking stern and unapproachable in a designer suit. I look like an asshole, I observe. You were an asshole, he agrees, but there is affection in his voice now. You still are sometimes. But you're my asshole. It should be a ridiculous thing to say, but instead, it makes something warm bloom in my chest. 3 months in, Dr. Chen declares him stable. His pheromone levels are back to normal, she says, reviewing her scans. Immune system fully functional. No signs of organ damage. Honestly, Mr. Frost, I've never seen anything like this. It is like he was never sick at all. After she leaves, Soren and I sit together on the porch, not speaking. The forest is alive around us, bird calls and rustling leaves, and the distant sound of the river. I resigned as CEO, I say finally. Made it official last week. He looks at me surprised. Evander, you didn't have to. Yes, I did, I interrupt. That life, that version of me, it was killing me just as surely as the rejection was killing you. I was just too stubborn to admit it. What will you do instead? I shrug. I thought maybe I'd stay here. If you'll have me, I'm not much of a naturalist, but I can learn, and my pharmaceutical background might be useful for your wildlife conservation work. There is a lot of research being done on animal pheromone communication that could. I stop when I realize he is laughing. What? Nothing, he says, wiping his eyes. It is just very you to turn. I want to stay with my mate into a research proposal. Is that a yes? Instead of answering, he leans over and kisses me. It is soft and sweet and tastes like the honey in his coffee. When he pulls back, his green eyes are bright with something that looks like happiness. Yes, he says, but on one condition, anything. No more running. No more letting your fear of vulnerability drive you away. If we do this, we do it for real. All in. No half measures. I think about the man I was 7 years ago, the one who walked away from this exact offer because he was too scared to take it, the one who built walls so high he couldn't see over them anymore, the one who mistook isolation for strength and loneliness for independence. That man is gone, and I'm not sorry to see him go. All in, I agree. 6 months after I find him dying in the forest, Soren and I stand together at the edge of a cliff overlooking the river valley. We've hiked up here to check on a wolf den. He has been monitoring. The alpha female just had pups, and he wants to make sure they're thriving. There, he says, pointing to a dark opening in the rocks below. See the movement? I squint, following his finger. After a moment, I spot it, a flash of gray fur, small bodies tumbling over each other in play. 5 pups, Soren says, his voice full of quiet joy. All healthy. The pack is going to be strong this year. I watch him watching the wolves, the way his whole face lights up with genuine happiness, and I'm struck by how close I came to never seeing this, never knowing this version of him, healthy, vibrant, alive. Never knowing this version of me, either. The one who can stand on a cliff at sunset, not thinking about profit margins or market share, or any of the things I used to believe mattered. The one who understands that some bonds can't be broken, no matter how hard you try. That some loves are written in your DNA, in the very fabric of who you are. I love you, I say, not for the first time, but maybe with the most certainty. He turns to me, smiling. I know, even though I'm still terrible at being vulnerable. Even though I sometimes get obsessive about research and forget to sleep. Even though, he repeats, laughing. Even though I was an absolute jackass who almost let you die because I was too proud and stupid to admit I needed you. His expression softens, especially because of that, because you learned, because you changed, because you chose me, Evander, not because of the bond, not because of biology, but because you wanted to. I did want to, I say. I do want to, every day. The sun is setting now, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. In the valley below, the wolves are settling in for the night, the pups nestled close to their mother. Everything is exactly as it should be. Soren takes my hand, lacing our fingers together. Come on, he says. Let's go home. And for the first time in my life, I know exactly where that is. A year later, I'm in the cabin's small office. We converted the spare bedroom, reviewing grant proposals for Soren's conservation program, when he appears in the doorway. You're going to want to see this, he says, grinning in a way that makes him look years younger. I follow him outside, where he has set up his camera equipment facing the tree line. What am I looking at? Wait for it, he says. We stand there for maybe 5 minutes before I see it, a flash of movement in the trees, and then she steps out, the alpha female from the den, now fully grown, with her own mate and a new litter of pups trailing behind her. She brought them to show us, Soren whispers, awe in his voice. She remembers me, She is introducing us to her family. I watch the wolves, the way the pups tumble and play while their parents keep watch, and I'm reminded of something Dr. Chen said during one of her last visits. The bond between fated mates isn't just about the individuals. It is about creating something larger than yourselves, a pack, a family, a legacy. At the time, I dismissed it as sentimental nonsense. But now, standing here with Soren's hand in mine, watching new life flourish in the forest we've both come to call home, I think I'm starting to understand. Thank you, I say quietly. Soren looks at me, puzzled. For what? For not giving up, for fighting to stay alive, even when I gave you every reason not to, for giving me a second chance I absolutely didn't deserve. He squeezes my hand. We gave each other a second chance. That is what fated mates do. The wolves disappear back into the trees, and we stand there a while longer, just breathing in the evening air. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls. The first stars are beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Come inside, Soren says eventually. I made dinner. You made dinner. I raise an eyebrow. Should I be worried? He shoves me playfully. I'm perfectly capable of cooking. The last time you tried to make pasta, you somehow set water on fire. That was one time, and there were extenuating circumstances. We're still bickering as we walk back to the cabin, but it is the comfortable kind of argument that comes from knowing someone completely, from trusting them with every broken piece of yourself, and having them carefully put you back together. 7 years ago, I thought I knew everything. I thought I had life figured out, that I could control every variable, predict every outcome. I thought the bond was a weakness, a biological imperative that would trap me in a life I didn't want. I was wrong about all of it. The bond didn't trap me. It freed me. It freed me from the prison of my own making, from the loneliness I'd convinced myself was strength, from the fear that kept me isolated and alone. And Soren, beautiful, stubborn, forgiving Soren, he didn't complete me the way romantic stories always claim. He challenged me. He pushed me to be better, to look beyond the data and the logic and see the messy, complicated, wonderful reality of actually living. That night, as we lie in bed together, Soren's head on my chest and my fingers running through his hair, I think about the man I used to be, the one who walked away from this, who valued control over connection, who mistook isolation for independence. What are you thinking about? Soren murmurs sleepily. How different things could have been, I admit, if I hadn't been so stubborn, if I'd just listened to what the bond was trying to tell me 7 years ago. He is quiet for a moment then. We wouldn't have appreciated it as much. What we have now, you needed to lose it to understand what it meant. That is very philosophical of you. I've had a lot of time to think about it, 7 years in fact. There is no accusation in his voice, but the reminder still stings. I'm sorry, I say, not for the first time, and surely not for the last, for those 7 years, for everything you went through, because of my choices. He shifts, propping himself up to look at me. I know, and I forgive you, but Evander, you need to forgive yourself too. We can't move forward if you're still living in the past. How do you do that? I ask. How do you forgive so easily? It is not easy, he says. And it is not about forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It is about choosing to believe that people can change, that you changed, that the man who rejected me 7 years ago isn't the same man who is holding me right now. He is not, I say firmly. I'm not. I know, he kisses me, soft and sure. That is why I love you. Later, after he has fallen asleep, I lie awake listening to his steady breathing. His scent pine and rain and home surrounds me, and I can feel the bond humming contentedly between us, strong, stable, permanent. I think about fate, about destiny, about all the concepts I used to dismiss as unscientific nonsense, and I realize that maybe I was asking the wrong questions. Maybe it doesn't matter whether the bond is just biology or something more mystical. What matters is the choice we make to honor it, to nurture it, to let it transform us into better versions of ourselves. The bond brought us together, but love, real, complicated, hard-won love, That is what is keeping us together, and that is worth more than all the data in the world.